also, how did a Welshman wind up in Indonesia making an action film like this? Tell us your story.
My wife kidnapped me, and now I'm working off my passport. So. I got married to an Indonesian Japanese lady, and we were living in the UK for a long time, but I hadn't done enough to get noticed in the industry in the UK. And so we were comfortable where we were, but we hadn't really settled in terms of what we were doing. And so she put some calls in back in Indonesia and managed to get me a directing job on a documentary out there. And that documentary was about Silat, the martial art we use. And I'd always been a fan of like Kung Fu movies and Muay Thai movies, but I'd never seen Silat before, and this was the first time. So doing that documentary for 6 months was kind of like, I got to learn about a new martial arts discipline that I'd never seen before. I got to learn about the tradition and the culture, which kind of gave me the storyline for the first film we did, Marantau, and also introduced me to Iko, because he was one of the students of a master that we were filming in the documentary. He was actually a delivery guy for a phone company, and did Silat on the weekends, and now he slams people's faces into walls.
Could you explain the difference between Silat and other traditional martial arts techniques?
One of the things that I kind of love about Silat is that it's very, it's kind of graceful in terms of the way they move, but then there's like an aggression there when they actually strike. And there's that juxtaposition between something being really beautiful and then being very sort of ugly and violent that I really like about it. But also, it's very adaptable to different situations, and so if they're in a very tight, confined space, or if they're in a big, wide open space and have multiple attackers, there's ways to deal with all the situations. And a lot of them have like a sort of low center of gravity, so it's like they can start eye to eye and then come down and take your leg before you know it. So there's a lot of different movements that I really love in Silat, and there's 200 different styles of Silat in Indonesia as well, and we've only touched on 2 of them briefly. So there's tons of stuff we haven't explored yet for the next movies.
How did the filmmaking infrastructure in Indonesia compare to what you came from in the UK?
It's hard to kind of answer that, because in the UK I've only ever done like independent stuff. So in the UK I've only done like one film, and I had a crew of 5 people. On this one then we had like a crew of like 100, 110, something like that. So it's hard to kind of compare the infrastructure, but I've had a lot of learning curves on this one. So this was a much harder shoot than the previous movie. On the first movie I did, Marantau, they kind of spoiled me and let me have whatever equipment I wanted for as many days as I wanted, and it was just, I was being spoiled by my producer. So on this one it was like, okay, if you want a crane, you can only have it for you only have 7 days of rigging for the entire thing. So it meant that we had to kind of think on our feet and go back to our independent roots and to kind of figure out how we were going to do some of these shots. So the one when we go through the hole in the floor and the camera follows down with Eco, ordinarily if we had the money we would have paid for a nice big rigging machine so we could kind of send it through and control it with a remote. But what happened was we didn't have the budget for that. So I had one camera operator up on top, and he has a sling on his back and a sling on the camera. And the camera's on a figure 8 steering wheel. And so as Eco drops through the hole, that guy falls onto his front and pushes half of his body through the hole with him. And then he turns the camera, so it twists like this. Then down below we have another camera operator stood on a table, and he's waiting for it to come through the hole. So when it comes through, he just grabs it and then carries on the movement. So it's just a pass off. So this is the first time we've experimented trying that technique. So in the sequel, we want to do a 4-person pass-off during a car chase. My director told me I was a fucking psychopath. But I think we can do it. I'm pretty sure we can. A couple of rehearsals and then we'll be alright.
Okay, let the cat out of the bag. There's going to be a sequel. And you also, let's give it up for this. And you're also attached to direct an American remake by Screen Gems, right? Or could you tell us what's up with both of those?
I'm doing the sequel. I'm not directing the remake. I'm exec producer on the remake, the horrible, evil remake. So I'm exec producing the remake, but they're coming to it from a good place. They actually are respecting the original. The Iko and Yain are actually going to go out there to do some of the choreography, so that's kind of cool. And I think like for the remake, the storyline's pretty streamlined, so they can get away with, they can actually improve it quite a bit. There's a lot of different things they can do with it. But I can't think of any new ways to kill people with doors, so I'm not going to do the remake myself. And I think it's better if a fresh pair of eyes have a stab at it. No pun intended. But I think, yeah, that person kind of needs to be given the same creative freedom that I had on this, because I had nobody looking over my shoulder telling me I could or couldn't do something. The only thing that was dictating that to me was the budget. And yeah, there was some stuff I wish I could have done, but I didn't have the budget to doing this, so maybe they can do that now. For the sequel, yeah, I'm almost done writing, and we should be starting shooting in January next year then.